Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you ready?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis.
And welcome to this edition of After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill. And tonight we have June Lundgren on the show. We're going to be talking about the dark side of the paranormal. That's going to be hour 2 that she'll be on with us. She also wrote a lot of other books. She is really, really a well-known name. She's also a psychic medium, but in the paranormal-wise, has got a lot of books out there that are informational, a lot of fun. She's always been a great guest. So she always brings something new to the table, so you're going to want to listen up for next hour. But in the meantime, Mike, how the hell are you?
I'm doing phenomenal.
Good.
I'm. That's it.
Oh,
I'm doing great.
you are doing great. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're doing great. So you're obviously doing you were just telling me, now I'm hungry. You're baking is what you're doing.
Well, not right now.
And for some
Although-
reason, it just really made me hungry there for a second.
And it should.
And it should. It sounded great. What did you bake, by the way? What was that called again?
It is chocolate chip cookie cheesecake bars.
Where'd you get the recipe from?
On the internet, just like where everybody else gets their recipes from.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Like it seriously surprises me because I see some of these recipes that people put together. You know, Tasty and
Yeah.
Stuff I always has their videos, and I watch them because I'm in awe of who thought to do this kind of stuff. Like there's a what is it, like 100-layer lasagna that they show. I'm like, who would do that? Who would sit there and it's like, you know what I need to put together a lasagna that has 100 layers. Brilliant.
100-layer lasagna. How thick would this be? Does it say how thick it's supposed to be once you're done?
Well, they have a video of it, and it's probably a good 6 to 8 inches tall.
My good Lord.
Maybe more. I mean, it's obviously big.
Yeah, what kind of noodles are they
every
using?
layer you have like ricotta and meat sauce, and it's enormous, but it looks so good.
But the problem is, now, I could take or leave the ricotta cheese. I mean, I'm just not really not my thing. But the problem is, every time I've had a big piece of lasagna, it messes with your gut, if you know what I'm saying. Like, the next day, you feel like, oh my God, is this ever going to pass?
Nope, not me.
You know what I'm talking about. You get the cheese curse. No.
There's no such thing.
Oh, there is. Trust me, be eating up cheese.
No. Nope. Well, see, I'm born and raised in Eau Claire, Wisconsin.
I'm sorry.
There's no need to apologize.
Well, I feel bad.
I mean,
now.
Well, you should, but not for that. So there's no such thing for me. Like I went to the store the other day for groceries, and like everything I had some sort of cheese in it.
What have you gained? Not to change the subject, but I will. Have you gained what some are calling the pandemic 20? The 20 pounds that a lot of people claim that they're gaining during the whole shelter-in-place order?
My scale ran out of battery power like a year and a half ago, and even though I have like 50 batteries that can go into it here,
yeah,
for some reason, I just can't seem to find the motivation to put more batteries into it. So
You're sick of it screaming for mercy, is what you're saying?
The way that well, yeah. See, if it was a talking scale, it'd be like, "Holy mother, get off of me!" That would be what it would say. Or "Can't breathe, can't breathe."
Yeah. That's okay. I'm part of that club, so don't worry. You're in good company.
Right. So I am measuring my weight gain by how tight my shirts are.
Have you ever noticed that the older you get, that's how some people, and I've been guilty of this, distinguish time by weight. Oh, that was 20 pounds ago.
The same way that we talk about distance by how far it takes you to get there.
Well, back then I was 25 pounds lighter.
Yeah, that was 20 pounds ago. Yeah. And you're like, how far does it take you to get to St. Cloud? Or how far is St. Cloud from your house?
Yeah.
Like 40 minutes.
Yeah, right? Same thing.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We're all in this together, including most of us, the weight gain. Some people have not gained the weight. They've actually worked out, but I pity the fool that does that.
Yeah. So what we're going to take away from this, and I'm so happy, and I'm really hoping that it does, is that obese is the new thin. That's what I'm hoping for.
We're all going to come out with long beards looking like, cavemen.
And that everybody that is actually in shape is now anorexic.
They're the pariahs. Oh, look how skinny that person is. Get them away from me.
I can see your muscles. Oh,
what is wrong with you? Are you okay?
Technically, we all have six-pack abs. It's just whether you can see them or not.
Yeah.
Just whether you can see them or not.
Well, some are covered by insulation.
That's right.
It's cold around here.
That's what I say. Everyone's like, I'm out there. Like, I used to wear shorts all year round, and I'm in Minnesota. Unless it was below zero. And everyone's like, aren't you cold? I'm like, no, I'm naturally insulated.
I'm natural. Don't worry. El Naturino. I suppose, though, we do have some stories in the hopper. Got some questions, too. They're more like story questions, but interesting, thought-provoking questions from the listening audience. So we got some news stories if we got time to get to them. But for sure, one of them we got to get to is the alligator lady. We'll make that a point to do that one right there.
Yeah, even though there's nothing paranormal about it.
No, but that's okay. See now, the beauty of this show, and the listeners will tell you this, is we're not always paranormal. We kind of do a little bit of everything. So that's
right. No, I understand.
Kind of the beauty of the show is we're able to go to those different places where other shows fear to tread. And so alligators eating...
You think other shows are fearful of reading the story about the woman who got killed by the alligator?
Some would. Because there's a real hold my beer moment going on in the end.
There is, actually.
There is. That even shocked me. And I've heard everything.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, watch this.
Yeah, watch this. Those are some of the most
Famous
dangerous words ever said. Everything bad in my life, mostly, that has happened to me is, hey, guys, watch this. Preceded it.
I actually changed that, and I say this is either going to be really, really good, or it's going to be really, really bad.
And usually these days, at my age, I think twice about most things. So I don't get hurt with near the frequency I used to.
Yeah.
So I think...
usually...
Yeah.
So go ahead, Joel.
I think wisdom. I want to say it's wisdom, but I think it's a good, healthy fear as well. I've done that before. And waking up.
I always say I'm evolving, is how I phrase it.
Yeah.
So whenever I don't do something people expect me to do, they're like, "Wow, you didn't do that." And it usually has to do with my mouth, me saying something. Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I'm evolving."
I am actually working very hard, and it's not easy, on having a filter. Not saying everything that comes to my mind.
You're going to crash and burn.
I'm working hard at it. I'm doing really well at it too. I'm no longer insulting people as much as I used to with impunity.
So that's why whenever we talk, you just go on these string of insults on people.
I save them up.
So you just save them for
I save them up.
Else.
That way they're done, like for the week. Okay, just boom, there it is. Get it all done. But they're clever, though. I've been told I have some very clever insults.
I really like what I call the complimentary insult.
Those are the greatest, aren't they?
Those I've gotten very good at, and I like to do them a lot.
How long did it take you to master that one?
I don't know. I wasn't trying to master it; just came naturally.
See, now I resemble a lot of the insults that are hurled my way, and I just have to tip my hat and go, "Yeah, you got something there."
That's fair.
It's fair.
I mean,
all right,
and you have to give full kudos, at least in my opinion, to John Oliver of Last Week Tonight,
yes.
Because he made that to take like that just raw like insults and bad negative energy forward you and just laugh and be like, that's fair, like that was a good call. And then move on with life.
Exactly. But speaking of moving on in life.
Oh, what topic are we at now? Are we doing stories?
I suppose we should actually pop the cork on this show and maybe, I don't know, attempt a semi-professional radio show. And we do have stories. And remember, if you have stories and you want to share them with us and let us talk about you and the story on the show, it's afterhoursam@gmail.com. Love to hear your stories. Also, we have a group over there, the After Hours AM radio group. I don't say that enough, that we're over there on Facebook. You can join that, and you can actually converse directly with us. We're always hanging around that thing, and I love doing it. Love talking to everybody. So keep that coming. If you want to be a guest, use that same email. We've got a lot of guest requests as of late, so I'm working really hard to get everybody in the calendar that wants to be a guest. So we got some really good ones coming up as well. Ones I never would have thought of having on the show, not because they don't deserve it, just because the subject matter is actually fits, and it's a very cool subject matter. Stuff that we've never even covered on the show. We've been around a long time. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I think in the next couple months, you guys will really enjoy what we got coming at you.
Okay. Good.
All right.
I don't know you're talking about. So
I know you don't. I have not clued you in yet. I have not clued you in.
I am waiting with bated breath to hear this announcement.
Well, we have one lady that will be coming on that claims that she's reincarnated. She wants to come on. We're in talks. That she is the reincarnation of Abraham Lincoln.
Okay.
And she's written a book.
Fun times.
She's written a book.
Naturally. Everybody's written a book.
So, well, yes. Everybody has written a book.
Except me.
Except
I think
you.
I am going to write a book about how I am the reincarnation of... I can't think of anybody who would be not worse, but better than Abraham Lincoln.
Well, see,
Give me a second.
I just want to talk to this person. I mean, obviously, we're going to be nice because I'm really interested in it. But I want to know what it's like to be reincarnated as a woman, reincarnated as Abraham Lincoln. That really makes you scratch my head a little bit. Oh, how he or she at this point must feel.
There we go. That's what my book's about. My past life as Martin Luther King.
This would have been and still is the perfect time for you to write that book with all the time on your hands that you have right now.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes, it is.
Mm.
I thought about it. Not so much about this whole Martin Luther King thing.
No, I sure
that would just be a work of fiction. But I have gotten to the point in my paranormal career where I think that some things that I could talk about would be interesting and are important for people to hear. I did attempt this like 2-3 years ago,
to write a book.
And the whole first chapter was pretty much just me ripping on every paranormal television show out there. and apparently it was just a little too negative for people to take.
What? Now, who said it's too negative?
A friend of mine. I gave it to a friend of mine to read to let me know what she thought of it, and she's like, I think she said I swore too much.
Okay, now it's well documented on this show. Your hatred, or should I say, your somewhat loathing of paranormal television.
Not on this show, not completely. I mean,
what is it about?
No, you don't want to start down this path.
Is that not a rabbit hole you want to visit?
Listener emails. Look at that.
If
you want to dedicate the first hour of some show to my opinion of paranormal television shows, you need to set that up in
well,
advance.
anyhow, I'm sure that we all can live without your opinion. Okay.
Yes.
Let's move on.
All right. Our first story tonight comes from Luke. He writes in, he is every day, as usual, I walk my dog along a street, and sometimes we go a little bit into the forest for him to do his business. But this time, when we were like 200 meters away from the forest, I saw under the only light near the forest a weird creature. The body looked like a big deer, but as I looked more closely, the head was a human head with horns. I was shocked and looked again. The creature didn't move or do anything but just stand there and look at me. So I decided to walk back with my dog with a very weird feeling. Our house is along the street near the forest, so I can see the forest from my garden. I tried to forget what I saw and thought my mind just played a trick, but as soon as I let my dog from the leash, he just went to the fence and looked to the exact location the weird creature was, and with his tail hanging low, extremely low, like he normally does when he has pain or is scared. I called him 3 or 4 times, but he didn't move an inch. So I went closer to him and touched him. Even then, he didn't move for like 30 seconds. Suddenly, he just casually walked into the house like nothing happened. This happened like 3 months ago, but I'm still scared thinking about it.
I would be too. That'd be a hell of a thing to see, something human head with horns. That would give anyone pause. I know it'd give you pause, Mike. I know it would.
No, not really. I'd just be like, what? Okay, yeah. For a brief, like I would try to be like, huh? But to be honest with you, when I was reading this, I got halfway through, and the first thing that came to my mind was the exact story that guy in the Bridgewater Triangle documentary told.
Oh,
about
yeah.
the puck wedgie.
Yes.
He was walking his dog, and underneath the one light, all of a sudden there was this creature standing there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like the exact same story, except minus obviously the whole I went home and my dog stared at that area for a while. I guess I don't know how to take this.
I would say I don't even know what to offer you, Luke, in an explanation of what you saw. Somebody human head with horns, shocked, of course, it made you look. Your dog reacted, so you know, judging by the reaction of the dog, you know it wasn't your own imagination. There was something making that dog react as well. Just what it was, I don't even want to go on a limb and even try to say what it was. It'd be interesting to know, was there any smells or anything, or was there any other indications that it was there other than just what you saw? You see, I'm kind of like Bigfoot, where they say, I saw a Bigfoot, but I also smelled a horrible stench that came with it, something that was also with it.
Yeah, that's a lot like the skunk ape down in Florida.
Yeah, because they'll describe, not only see it with their eyes, but then their other senses will pick it up. I'm just kind of curious of whether that was there with it. And then, of course, a human head with horns, that would be an interesting sight to see, to behold there for a second. I would be, I wouldn't be scared, but I'd definitely be carrying a camera with me from here on in my walk in those woods.
Well, I'm just surprised that I mean, from the sounds of it, it was more like shock and not fright
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah, he didn't say
and then
terrified.
he just turned around and walked away.
Yeah.
And this was 3 months ago, so you obviously have camera phones.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, I saw this creature. I'm like, well, did you get a photo? No. Why not?
Yeah.
Why is there never
That's-
any
Yeah.
photo proof, video proof, or unless it's so pixelized that you can't?
I get that a lot with Bigfoot because, as everyone knows, I do a lot of Bigfoot research as well as ghost research and a little bit UFO research. Not as much as I used to, but like Bigfoot, I always, wow, no pictures or anything, and a lot of them say I didn't even think about that. I was so stunned of what I was seeing. I was so stunned at and when you think about it, you got to fumble, get your phone. I mean, it makes sense. But if you're standing there staring at it and there's some type of engagement of stares back and forth, I would hope that you'd want to take a picture of this thing. But again, I'm not in that position. I don't know what that feels like. I do know that I saw a Dogman once. And that was scary as all hell. And I was not in a position to take a picture.
Were you looking for Dogman?
No, I was deer hunting.
Okay.
I was
I
actually
gotcha.
in my deer stand. And
he just strolled underneath you? Or what?
no, I was in an area called the Moose Line, is what they call it. It's a big hunting area. It's part of the Superior National Forest where I live. And I was hunting, and other people had seen this thing since I saw mine.
I think you just saw an ugly hunter.
No.
Oh.
There was 2 deers in a meadow. It was during a deer season that's bucks only. You couldn't take does, which are, of course, the antlerless deer that are the females and the does. And I couldn't shoot those, and there's 2 of them standing in a meadow and watching these 2 does just eating their grass, hoping that maybe a buck would come through and I'd be able to harvest a buck. Right? Because they always chase the girls, because it's during what they call the rut, and that's their mating season.
Thinking he's going to be getting a little wah, wah, wah,
Exactly.
And then
So,
boom, you're done.
Yeah, and then I saw a big wolf come through, and they took off.
Nice.
They jetted off, and I thought, well, then my day's done. My hunting day's done, because once there's a predator introduced to your hunting, yeah, it's pretty much done for the day. They're going to go miles and miles away. Well, this wolf had stopped. It put its head up in the air like it was sniffing. I was assuming at the time it was sniffing for those deer, trying to figure out which way it went. But I'm telling you this, I saw this thing stand up on 2 legs, like a man. And then when it was smelling, the wind kicked up. So I became downwind of it. So then it picked
so it was
me
the
up.
wolf.
It picked me up. This wolf did.
It's a strong wolf. You're hard to pick up.
Well, anyhow. There's a lot more to the story, but I'll save that for another day. I know you don't subscribe to the Dogman theory, I'm sure, but
It's not that I don't subscribe to it. It's that I guess never being in a position, like I've never been hunting, and the last time I went through a forest, was probably when I was 8. So I guess I don't relate as easy with cryptids as I would, the supernatural, aspect of the paranormal.
well, that is okay because when you come up, we're taking you out in the woods.
That's great, and I'm sure I'll never be seen again.
No, you'll be just fine. We're gonna do some Bigfoot hunting.
Oh, good. So we can fail just like everybody else in
Well,
history.
If you've never done it before, at least you could scratch it off the list.
I'll do it. I got nothing against it. I mean, as long as we're on nothing but flat ground, so I don't have to exert myself.
Anyhow, what you saw in the woods
Anyway, yes,
would
of
startle
course.
me as well. Okay, moving along. Randy says, as an investigator, I have encountered spiritual activity at every location. I found this odd. Why won't mainstream science do real studies on the subject? Or do they? But they continue to lie to the public, as they so often do. Joel, I know you have been an investigator for decades. And when he says Joel, he also means Joel and Mike. I know you guys have been investigators for decades. Maybe you can answer this for me. Well, we had an interesting discussion about this actually just earlier today.
Yes, we did.
About science and how it may or may not work. I think it could work under the right circumstances. Science kind of looks at the paranormal and ghosts kind of like a quasi-science. They don't take it seriously at all. Yeah, some do. I'm not going to use a broad brush because I happen to know a scientist that takes it very seriously and would like to prove the existence of ghosts. But the real problem with science and the paranormal is a couple things. Number one, what has been told to me by several scientists is there's no standards and practices. There's no, this is how everybody investigates. This is how it's done. Like when science goes out and they do an experiment, it's a very controlled experiment. Everybody does that experiment the same way, and then they compare notes and they're done. It would seem to me that no two paranormal groups necessarily investigate the same way. So the evidence would never be, I don't want to say identical, but close enough to be to be a check and balance to itself. So that's a lot of the problem, is because you've got so many people doing it in their own way, and which is fine. God bless them. I say, hey, whatever you want to do, you do it. But when science gets involved, there's a couple of different things that has to happen. It has to be done in a certain way, and also science demands anything to be repeatable. We all know ghosts just can't come out and dance for us, right? That's been always the line. Well, they don't work on command. Well, science would love it if they did. They would love it if that's how it worked, because then they could really study it. But the biggest shortfall, again, is the fact that there's really nothing in place, no universal, this is how it's done kind of science going on. Am I right, Mike?
You are 100% correct. I mean, as you were going over that, it just came to mind that so many things would have to be put into place just to get this, practices and procedures in place. You would probably have to investigate a location so many times where you would have to figure out, one, is it intelligent and is it residual? I mean, yeah, because you can interact. If you could find an actual intelligent entity that is willing and understands what you are looking for, then you could ask it, can you do this? And then 10 minutes later, can you do this again? And it will do it. But it's the same as the human nature. You're not going to find anyone living who is willing to do the same thing over and over and over again just for unless you pay them. But you can't do that with a spirit.
Yeah.
So, there's so many different aspects of the paranormal that would have to be known and put into place before you could even start to do a scientific study on it.
It would be great if we could, though.
I 100% agree. And if you told me about this proposal that your buddy your scientist buddy is trying to do, and I'm 100% with it. And if the purpose of an investigation at a known haunted location is planned out, and here's the equipment that has been calibrated, here's what you're going to do and why, I would 100% be there, and here's all the evidence that comes from it if there is anything.
Yeah.
But, every location is going to be different. The energy is going to be different. It even involves, the where, how full the moon is. Mm-hmm. It's all energy. And I don't think the paranormal has so many things unknown about it that I don't think it can even be approached by science yet.
That and else a little bit, not to offend anyone, but it also comes down to education.
Yes.
We don't have enough people in the paranormal most of the people that are doing paranormal investigations are lay people. They're not trained scientists. So that's also a bit of a problem as well. So, like, if you get a fluctuation in pressure, right, and your instrumentation goes off, a pressure change, you're not going to think to yourself, okay, I'm going to have to note what time. Obviously, you're going to note what time that was. But you can go back and look at weather logs to find out exactly when the pressure changed that night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stuff like that. So you have to exclude all that mundane stuff that could have caused that pressure change before you can get to the paranormal. And that's just a lot of steps a lot of people would not be willing to take because it gets in the way of, let's just be honest, fun. Paranormal is supposed to be fun when you're out there as well. It's supposed to be enjoyable.
And it also comes down to people's belief in the paranormal because, you know, using the data logger and you see a pressure drop and the light goes off. Half the teams that are going to look at that, they're going to look at it and be like, oh, my God, I'm talking to a spirit if he can do it again. Whereas the other half of the people are going to be like, it's a flippin' light. I don't care about that.
I'm in the second camp, like you just said. I believe that light means something, but what doesn't mean I need more evidence before I can call that paranormal. Because a light's just a light. Just a light.
Yeah, I mean, then there's the people who are going to take their photos, and they're going to be like, look at all the orbs. Mm-hmm. And the other half are going to be, look at all the dust. And so, I mean...
One more thing that we did not mention, egos. They're big in the paranormal.
Shockingly, they are huge.
And that would be a very hard thing for people to come together and get over their own egos. To take part in a true scientific study of the paranormal.
Yeah, I mean that was my comment to you earlier.
Yes, and I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up.
You're going to have a lot of fighting.
Because I didn't even think about that. Because to me, egos get checked at the door when it comes to science. You know,
when it comes to science, but the paranormal is not a science. No matter how much we want to think that it is, as of right now,
claim it's
not a science.
They claim it is. Some groups, some say we're a scientific-based paranormal group, and
they're wrong. And that's my opinion.
That would require someone checking your science to make that claim. You know, who's checking the science. But anyhow, that's our opinions. That's what we think. Welcome if you have a different opinion, afterhoursam@gmail.com. You can also text us, 612-326-6874. Give us your ideas, what you think. Do you think that there would be a possibility of science actually taking an interest in the paranormal should the circumstances be correct, such as groups learning how to coexist without infighting? That may be the biggest hurdle. We got to run to break. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill. When we were leaving, we were talking about the paranormal and science of reading your stories, and we'll continue to do that. But I don't know. I think that I smell a show coming on. I think that maybe we should explore that longer and harder about the science end of the paranormal. I don't think a lot of people, with the exception of, well, Odyssey Files has touched on it quite a bit here and there, but you don't hear a lot of science involved with your paranormal in a lot of these radio shows. So it would be kind of cool to get science's idea. I do have a very good friend of mine that is a nuclear physicist, and he is a believer. He's not a skeptic. He's not a cynic. He's a believer, had his own personal experiences. His name is Abe Mackey. We'll get him on. Get him on to talk about the science and the things of what it would take if you wanted to go that route in your paranormal investigating.
Yeah. So that sounds phenomenal. I would love to talk to him.
All right. Your turn.
Okay. So this one comes from Sam. So a long time ago, I went out to eat at Blaze Pizza with the family. And when I got there, I think it was around 5 or 6 p.m. Because I remember the sun was setting. When we entered, we waited in line for a while until I got to the front where we could order our pizza. When I was pointing at the toppings on the board, I looked into the dude's eyes I was ordering from and saw something was not right. It felt off. He was black, no mean to be racist, wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, along with a white apron. But when I looked into his eyes, he had purple pupils and fangs coming from his mouth. Originally, I think he had brown eyes, but they changed when I looked at him when I was ordering. I also think he had a beard, but now I'm getting off topic. This terrified me, so I looked away and just continued my order as nothing happened, but it was hard considering the image of that man was burned into my eyes. After that, I was scared, and when I was leaving Blaze Pizza, I looked back and saw this dude was talking to his coworker afterward. So we left, and to this day, I don't know if the guy still works there.
Oh. So you saying you saw Beast from the X-Men, or what?
I think he's kind of going with the vampire thing.
That's what I think as well. So you think you saw a vampire, huh? Wow.
Working at a pizza
pizza joint. Yeah. Well, he was there towards night, I suppose, a vampire.
But however, he was already working and the sun was just setting, which means he'd been working during the day.
He's a day walker. Who knows?
Is Blaze is working at a pizza? Is that what's going on now that the franchise is done? I used to be in Port, but now I just work at Blaze Pizza.
yeah. I've walked the earth for 10,000 years, and now I'm working as a pizza boy. Boy, I feel bad for that vampire.
That's what the pizza is now, the serum.
Yeah.
That's all he needs.
Boy, yeah.
I honestly just think that he was this kid or whatever was in an emo phase. I mean, because you can literally have fangs put into your teeth.
Man, I've run into people with horns sticking out of their heads. You know, where they had those subdermals put in or whatever and stuff like that. So, really, just because you see something that looks that strange, there's a lot of body modifications out there that people are doing. And, you know, and I've seen a lot of that on pizza workers. So, when I do see it, it's usually at a place like that where it's a more laid-back atmosphere. Come on, he's not working in an office building. He's working at a pizza joint. So a little more forgiving on what people can wear to work. I don't know. I just don't think you saw a vampire. No.
He didn't say that. No. I said that.
I know you did, but
no,
come on.
No, I honestly think it was just a kid probably, face deep in the emo world.
Yeah.
Or the vampire community, as they call it. I mean, this is actually a question for Michelle Belanger.
That would be a perfect question for her. And she would be able to answer that much better we can. So, all right, my turn. Hey, guys, Stephen here, or Steven, however you pronounce it, because some of them do either or. I've been listening for a long time, so we know ghosts can be around for a long time. But how long? It seems like there must be some kind of limit, as I have never heard of a caveman ghost. I know many have seen ghosts of animals or pets, but nobody ever seems to see the ghosts of dinosaurs or something. Dinosaur ghosts would be pretty awesome, now that I think about it. I think you're right, too. That would be cool. So if there is a cutoff for how long a ghost can linger, how long and for what reason? Bonus question. Ding, ding, ding. Alex, Daily Double. Are there any organisms that don't seem to be able to come back as ghosts? Well, I've never seen an amoeba ghost.
That was my exact reaction, too. When I read this earlier today, the first thing I was like, an amoeba.
Yeah, I have never seen a phantom amoeba. But who's to say microscopic organisms don't have their own version of ghostly encounters? Don't know. Now, why don't people see older ghosts? Well, there's a lot of theories on that. That at some point, the energy, I've heard everything from the energy just gives out, and it's kind of like a battery, and it plays itself out, and that's it. Then I've also heard that they just move on, like go into a higher sense of being, and they're no longer trapped in this earth. To be honest, I do not quite honestly know why we do not have caveman ghosts, but you would think that we would, but we just don't. Or dinosaur ghosts. I'd love to see a brontosaurus coming through.
Yeah, that's like Ghostbusters the movie type stuff.
Yeah,
right there, the dinosaur ghost.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that. I mean, because one of the things that people always say about why spirits hang back is, they have unfinished business, or they have something here that's holding them. I don't think cavemen have that opportunity. Like back then, we just weren't evolved enough to I think even to know, that something could hold us here. So I just don't think that we were of the evolutionary level where we would hold ourselves back.
And also, I'm sorry, Mike, but could it come to frequency? We do know that a lot of ghost sightings, what we've heard on this show and others, is frequency plays a big part on your perception. is it as a ghost ages, it changes frequency. So maybe it's not, maybe it is there, but we're just not experiencing it.
It's a good point. I mean, there. How many times, like, if you watch the Dead Files, and you believe in Amy Allen's ability to communicate with the spirits, like, how many times does she say it learned how to do this?
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing. I have a friend of mine who is a very gifted psychic medium, and she has told me that she has actually taught spirits how to grow, like they can age themselves, and she has taught them how to do this. So, I mean, who is to say that a very old spirit or whatever that we see isn't from that era, isn't a caveman ghost?
I got a million questions for your friend on that one, man.
Actually, she would be a phenomenal guest, I'm just saying. So, but yeah, are there any organisms that don't seem to be able to come back as ghosts? I mean, there's probably millions of organisms. But yeah, Joel, you and I are on the same page with the old amoeba thing.
Yeah, I've never seen a ghost frog. Hey, look at that ghost frog over there. Never seen one. So, who knows? Who knows?
That's a very good point.
And I know your favorite subject is coming up next there, Mike.
Yes. This is from Lindsay. Thank you, Lindsay, for giving me this opening. So she starts off by saying, I have a cat that is just like any other cat. So worthless is what you're saying. But
Agents of death. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Satan's feces is what your cat is. But occasionally she would just stare at the corner of a room for like 5 minutes, sometimes even longer, as if someone was there when there wasn't, and it creeped me out. So I did some research and heard that cats can see spirits, which I very much believe this, but I want to know, Joel, if your cats do the same thing, and if you think they can see spirits.
Well, I do have a cat, and he's black, like jet black, and love him. He's kind of getting to be an old guy now. But cats are kind of weird anyway. I'm not saying they can't see spirits, but I've seen them do just some crazy things for no good reason at all. Like react to nothing. Like just sit there and decide to tear into your leg for no good reason. So cats are a little weird anyway. I'm not sure if they would have the ability to... I'm sure that some say they do, some say they don't. I don't know about the whole ghost thing to see the spirits, but I'm guessing if there's anything that can, maybe cats can, because they do seem to have these abilities when they're not ripping into your leg or plotting your demise. Have these abilities to kind of look around and you wonder what they're batting at when there's nothing there. It could be just them being neurotic, or they're seeing something. So I don't know. What do you think, Mike? Do you think cats are otherworldly beings? Kind of like in the old days and they called them lichens?
No, they're definitely not lichens. But I know like ancient Egyptians called cats like the guardians of the underworld. Personally, I think they're ushers to push everybody in.
If you die, cats will eat you.
I know they will. They're trying to get to your soul is what they're trying to do. So, Dave and I actually did an episode on cats and dogs being able in like their role in the paranormal, and dogs as well are very, very in tune to paranormal activity. They will also stare into corners and stuff like that for no reason. But the thing that I think everybody needs to keep in mind is that their hearing, their smell, their eyesight, everything is pretty much better than ours. I mean, dogs may be colorblind, but that doesn't mean they can't see. And they can't hear. So, I mean, it's way more acute for them than it is us.
That's true.
So they may hear an animal in the wall. Mm-hmm. They may see a spider up in the corner. Like they may be staring or looking at something because they hear something that we don't. Or they see something that we don't.
Yeah.
They smell something that we don't. And they're going to look at it until it goes away or until they figure out what it is. So just because an animal is staring into the corner doesn't mean it's necessarily looking at a spirit.
Cats are inherently hunters, right? They got claws, they got big teeth. They're even more hunters, independent hunters, than dogs are. Cats, they hear things like crazy. I've seen my cat catch birds out of the mid-air while they're flying by. I mean, they're hunters. They're always on the lookout. That's just the way they are. Unless they're sleeping or plotting your demise.
They're assassins.
They are assassins. They really are. So who knows? Maybe the ghosts are in tune to the other side, or maybe not. But I guess that is something you're going to have to think about for yourself. I personally, my cat's weird. I love him, but he's weird. I think the only ghosts he'd be communicating with are ones that are imaginary.
Are going to feed him?
Yeah, are going to feed him.
Oh.
Yes, because he's a fat little man, too. Always begging for food, but that's a whole nother tale. I'm not sure. I'm not sure on the whole spirit thing. It would take a whole lot of convincing for me to believe that.
What, the cats can see spirits?
I think they can, but no more readily than we can.
I think they're more in tune to sense.
I think they are, but as far as visual,
right.
I've heard that they're no more, in tune than we are. They'll hear it long before and feel it because they feel vibrations in the pads of their feet. Cats do very easily. So, anyhow, Carrie says, "Hey Joel, love the Shadow People shows that you recorded a few years back. Got a question: do bad things happen to people after they see a shadow person?" In short, I had an encounter with shadow people when I went under sleep paralysis. It was not a good experience. After that, I started to feel anxious and paranoid. Sometimes I would feel this gut feeling that something bad will happen to me or someone close to me. Maybe you can help answer this. I have heard, doing those shows, we did a series, I think, of 10 shows just about shadow people. I think this was 2016 we did these. And there were people that did come forward saying, hey, after I saw a shadow person, just bad after bad after bad. We'd heard about the infamous Hat Man. Everybody's heard about him. And bad things happening to people after that. One individual came forward and said he had gotten cancer soon after seeing the shadow people. I'm not going to say that that's related, but he tried to say it was, but we don't know. We're not medical doctors what his cancer was. Other people claim that they've had mishaps such as car accidents. They've had financial ruin. There's a lot of different things that seem to follow. Now, are they coincidence of seeing the shadow person, or is it caused by the shadow person? That's really up to the listener's imagination, whether the correlation is there or not. But there does seem to be something to it if you want to follow down that rabbit hole. What do you think, Mike?
So, shadow people have become very
in.
Like not the in,
buzzword.
but a well-connected piece of my life.
Yeah.
In the recent months. Not because I saw one or anything like that, but just sheer happenstance has kind of thrown them into my view. And I honestly don't think that, obviously they want you to die. They don't like humans. They don't like the living people. But I honestly have never seen a story yet where they were connected actually to that kind of bad stuff happening. Somebody, I guess, well, maybe that's not exactly true. Obviously, if you're around the paranormal a lot, especially negative energy, you can have physical stuff happen to you, like diseases and stuff like that. You can develop all this kind of stuff. I don't think I've ever heard of the financial ruin type thing. Part of it. But from what I understand and what I've read, they're more of a reconnaissance. They're there either to scare the crap out of you or just you're not supposed to notice them at all, and they want to go about their business to try to reach whatever goal they're there to do. I honestly don't know, but I guess my other question would be not so much is it a shadow person or are you just seeing shadow figures, because they're two completely different things. There's a big difference.
A shadow being is the existence of a shadow person, which is really an artifact of another dimension. Now, just a shadow person that you see could be a ghost not fully forming, right? I should just say just, because that's a big deal too, because holy crap, who sees ghosts? It's kind of a rare occurrence. Both of those are very rare occurrences. But the shadow people seem to have, like you'd said, a very intelligent way about them. They seem to almost
they have
plan.
goals.
There's a drive behind it. And I've also heard that shadow people only let you see them when they want you to see them.
Yeah. I would also, a lot of the things that I've read said they like to change their form. Like they like to be shadow spiders.
Yeah. Shadow
whatever
mice.
you are most afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Dave, who's my co-host on the Odyssey Files, he actually woke up a couple months ago and saw like a shadow spider on the ceiling, and cast it out. Name of Jesus Christ. Blah blah blah. Leave, and it was gone. But they actually like to not so much form themselves looking like people, but as some sort of representation of what you would most be scared of.
Yeah, they're kind of like Pennywise in that regard, if we can go that far, just to put some kind of reference into it.
I would love to see a shadow clown.
Yeah, but it's going to become what you fear. So whatever you fear, it's going to use. A shadow clown would be hilarious to see with the balloons and everything in shadow. That'd be
so like a thing of broccoli?
Yeah, well, yeah. It would be a treadmill for you. Oh, my God, no! No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's what I was going with the broccoli thing. Is that it's
I knew you were.
This big.
I knew you were, but there's tons of resources out there for shadow people. There's a lot of different people doing that kind of research, and you can catch up with that. Really just do a quick Google search, and you're going to see, 50 different people, if not more, doing this work, trying to figure out what these things are.
Wow.
So, and everyone has a different opinion. Most of them have their own opinions of what they are, what's going on. Some say they're connected to aliens. Some say they're minions of the Hat Man, which is his own show. That is its own show right there, the Hat Man.
Which you will put as far away from being done as you can.
Yeah, right? Exactly. We have covered that when we did do some Hat Man stuff. Weird things were happening. I don't want to say overly weird, but little things. Little strange oddities in my life were happening. So it was kind of like, maybe I better not talk about this so much anymore.
It's probably a good call.
Yeah, exactly. So that is it for the stories this week. We really appreciate everyone that wrote in. A lot of great questions. Keep them coming. Again, afterhoursam@gmail.com. One thing that we can say is all your questions, we'll do the best to answer them. But if you do need help, you can reach out as well. We're also investigators. So I know that, if you have something going on that you seriously are scared of or need help, you can email us up. We'll get you resources. The other day, I was going to share this with you. I haven't had a chance. Somebody that felt that they were being oppressed by the demonic, and I put them in the right direction for help because I know I'm not equipped to handle that. A lot of things I can handle, but that's really not in my comfort zone. So we will always direct you where we believe you can get the best help. That being said, we got to run a break. We come back. We got June Lundgren coming on the show. And there's some great questions here we may pass on to her about shadow people. Maybe she can flesh that out a little bit for us as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me is Mr. Michael O'Neill. Hey, man, we got one of my favorite guests on. It's been a little while. We got June Lundgren on, and every time we have her on, it's always such a good time, enjoyable time. June's the real deal, though. She's not only a psychic medium, but she writes all sorts of awesome books. She's a paranormal investigator. And one of the things we're going to be talking with her about is the dark side of the paranormal, because for some reason, 99% of her emails about experiences are about the dark side of the paranormal, right, Mike? It's always the dark side.
Yes,
no one ever says it's an
Always the
angelic
dark
being that came down and greeted me. It's always a demon was in my closet and then was drinking my milk. It's never light and love. It's always that scary stuff. But June, how the heck you been?
I honestly,
yeah. Go ahead.
Just been busy. You know, this COVID stuff it's ramping up a lot of negative energy. So in the last week and a half, I've done 20 removals. It's just insane.
That's a crazy amount of removals.
Yeah, it's just people are, either messaging me on Facebook or, going to my website and sending me an email. It's just crazy.
So what do you do when they get a hold of you and they say, "Hey, June, I got myself a demon problem or a negativity problem or a ghost problem"? What do you do when you first get that call?
first I tell them, send me a picture and of either the location that has the issue or themselves or the person that has the issue. Because I know the minute I see the photo, I know it's there. It's just a matter of, validating. I know when I get the email or I get a Facebook message what's there. Mm-hmm. But I ask them for the photo so that they can so I can validate what I see internally.
Yeah.
And how many times is it actually demonic?
It's kind of strange because when I started all this, God said, well, people are going to find you. I will send people to you that need help. And I'm like, okay. And so most of the ones I get are, I would say, out of 100%, I would say about 80% are true negative entity issues. The others are like, just a human spirit that's being a pain in the rear or causing problems, or maybe it's grandma, or maybe it's Uncle Joe, and I let them know who it is. And if they have messages, I give them the message.
So 80% of what you get are negative / I guess, if you want to go that far, demonic hauntings. What do you attribute that high of a number to? I mean, that just seems outlandishly high.
Well, a lot of people, it's a theme, same theme all the time. A lot of people say, I've been suffering with this for a long time. I couldn't find anybody. There's no help. I don't know where to turn. And just suddenly, either they hear me on a podcast or they come across me. If you say demon and you search on Google, mine's one of the top ones that will come up. And, so many people have I've been looking for somebody for years and years and nobody's to help me. And so it's like, okay, because what usually happens is their guide or their guardian will lead them in a certain direction and look, to where they will find me. It's not all about them just, coincidentally finding me. There's no such thing. Usually their guides or guardians will, connect, will make them either find me in a podcast or online or something, or somebody hears of something, that's word of mouth. It's crazy.
So my question then is, why does it take years for them to be able to find you? Because you just said that, people they've been dealing with this for years and nobody's been able to help them, and then they found you. Why did it take so long for guides and guardians to push them in your direction?
Well, it's like they say, everything happens when it's supposed to happen. And usually, if you have an attachment or whatever, there's usually a reason for you experiencing this. And maybe it's to help others, or maybe it's just to learn that life is precious. Mm-hmm. It's a lesson. We all experience things as a lesson in one way or another.
I guess the question I also have is, how does the negative find these people? Is it just roaming around and looking for a victim, or do people invite into their lives?
Well, most of the time, it's a case of, they're attracted to people that have been abused, people that are in abusive situations, people that, are in a bad situation all the way around, whether it's a relationship, people with substance abuse, mental illness. They kind of are drawn. It's as if you struck a match in the darkness, mm-hmm. and you see it, and it's just like they make a beeline for it. But it's like they don't attach right away. They're like stalkers. They'll sit back and they'll wait and they'll watch the person. They'll look for your weaknesses. They'll look for your strengths. They'll look for if you're weak-willed. They'll look and see whether you have a strong faith. All these things play into it. And sometimes it's just a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or going on an investigation without protection.
How often does that happen? How many investigators get hold of you?
You'd be surprised.
No, I wouldn't.
I had a group up in Canada get a hold of me. The guy had heard me on a show, and he said he took, their group went into this haunted house. It was known to be possible demonic in there. And the young guy that was in their group was a real butthead. He was provoking big time the spirits that were in the house. And so when they left there, he left with a hitchhiker. They left with a demon.
Wow. You know, with all the warnings out there, especially people in the paranormal, where you hear all these tales about people that run into that same thing, it still boggles my mind that there's people out there doing just that, pushing their luck. I mean, I understand why, I guess, to some extent, because you want the activity and things like that, but the consequences afterwards are it's just insanity to me.
Yeah, you pay for it, and that's why you always have to go in with protection before you go. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I have my crystal, that's going to protect me." I'm like, really? Not. That's why I wrote The Dark Side of the Paranormal, because in it tells you what will protect you and what won't protect you. Mm-hmm. Don't be putting any brake dust down to keep them out, because that's not going to happen.
Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. I've interviewed June lots of times in the past. Feel free, my friend. She is a deep well of knowledge. She really is.
I get to ask questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Well, that's such a difference.
A change, I know, right?
So, now you said that they kind of like wander around looking for a certain thing. I mean, is it true or not true then that they in some way have to be like invited in, or they have to be somehow allowed to enter, or can they simply wander the streets, find somebody that meets their criteria, and then start haunting them?
Well, I wish it was that simple, but they don't have to be invited in. Nobody wants to invite those things in. Well, I've come across a few.
There are stupid people out there.
There are stupid people out there. But, mostly, like I said, you're like a candle in the dark. Someone who's having a lot of issues, somebody has substance abuse, and they look like a likely candidate. They'll be drawn, they'll sense them, and they'll go towards them. And that's when they stalk them. They wait, they watch. If you're not worth their time and effort, they're going to wander off somewhere else. But for the most part, they'll poke at you for a while and then take off if you're not worth. They like to. It's like a bug. You're poking a bug.
Yeah.
They will poke at you a few times and scare you and then run and then wander off to somebody else.
Kind of reminds me of a great white shark coming in for just a quick taste.
Yeah. There you go. It's like, that's why I liken them to demons are like sharks, because the sharks have the pilot fish that come around. They're always around them. Well, that's what the minions are like. That the little creepy crawly dudes.
Mm-hmm.
They're some of the ones that will go out and seek out these people, because they're relatively inconsequential as far as I'm concerned. But they do find these people for the full demons, and then they'll say, "Hey, here's a likely candidate," and the demon will check it out. If it's not worth their time, the demon will smack it upside the head a few times and move on.
They're executive assistants.
Yeah, there you go.
is what minions are.
Yep.
So, I have so many questions. Now I'm having trouble choosing one. So, what would you say then that maybe like demons are necessarily demons as the Bible would describe them, but they're more alien, interdimensional type beings?
They're not. I know I've encountered aliens, and these guys are not aliens. I wish I could say yes, but they're not. They live in a different dimension. When they used to be regular angels, and then the war happened between heaven and hell. But only at that time it was heaven, And Lucifer and his followers rose up against God because a lot of the souls were tired of roaming the galaxies. They wanted to have a physical life again. They wanted to have physical love, children, things like that. And the opposing group said, no way. We don't want to be subject to growing old, having pain, having disease. That's not for us. We don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. So that's what arose out of division. And when they were defeated, God just split open like Michael has shown it to me, so it looks like somebody had ripped open the fabric of time. And inside of this, where the opening is darkness. Just there's red points of light, but that's all there is in there. And he put them all in there, sealed the rift, and left 2 archangels to guard it. So over the centuries, they've found ways to create dark portals and come into the physical world. And so that's why you'll see quite a bit of them. There's a lot more dark portals than people believe.
Well, do animals ever get possessed? I mean, you only hear about humans.
They can, but usually not. So you can, once in a while, a demon will show himself as a black dog or a black cat or something like that. But for the most part, the problem is demons will kill an animal in a heartbeat. They don't care. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I went out on a case, and not far from here, where they were having demonic stuff happening. 2 of the animals were killed. The little girl had a rat that was a pet. The rat's head was pulled through the bars. The bars were a half an inch.
Wow.
And it was twisted around.
My Lord.
And then the bird was killed. The parrot was killed. Its neck was twisted completely around.
It was killing the animals to get to her?
To incite fear.
That would do it.
And when I got there, when I go to a location, I know instinctively where the things are, what has happened. I see it all in a flash. And I went in, I said, listen, I got to go in the backyard. So I went through the house into the backyard. And I told my friend that goes with me, I said, stand over on the other side. I said, about 8 feet. Stood there. And the woman said, there was a pentagram drawn here, and you're standing on the edges of it. And I said, I know. Evidently there was a group that were in the forest behind the house, and they had been doing satanic worship, and they didn't like that they were calling the cops on them. So they came in at night, and they created this pentagram and invoked some demons. So there you go.
And there you are. You're off to the races.
Yeah.
That wasn't very nice.
No.
No, it's like this. It's kind of, it irritates me. But, the thing is, I've had cases where people have, like, witches and stuff, not good witches. I'm talking about dark art witches, have attached demonics to people. And once I'm brought in on the case, I know I see the demonic, and I can trace the demonic back to the person who did it. And sometimes, just because they piss me off, I will take that demon and I will attach it to them and see how they like living with it.
Wow. So you're
and
able
I
to...
might or maybe not go back and take it away, maybe.
So now, when someone has cast this demon on someone else, and there's the old adage of once you know the demon's name, you have full control. Is that the truth?
No. I wish it was. Because I know a lot of demon names. But it's knowing their name is just naming it. I know the Catholic Church says if you name it, it gives you complete power over it. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. They can still come at you. When I encounter a demon, I know their name right away. Know it right away. And it's like, I'd never say it because it gives it power. And I don't want to give it any power.
So just the opposite than what we've been told.
Mm-hmm.
Is it gives the demon power rather than retracting power.
Right. And it's kind of like if you don't want to say a demonic's name. You don't want to acknowledge. If you're on an investigation and you see something that you think is a negative entity, whether it be a shadow person or what, never acknowledge it. To acknowledge it is to make it see you. And you don't want to make it see you. I don't know how many times I told people that. I said, just don't acknowledge it. I mean, after the fact and you go home, that's one thing. But while you're in the location, no.
Yeah, we've had a lot of exorcists and demonologists on, and all walks of life, all denomination, and they all say that once you're on the radar, you're on the radar.
Yeah, to a certain extent. But if the people that I remove the demons from, I usually do like a white light cleansing on them with the power of God, and then it removes all the traces of negativity that are associated with an attachment, so that you kind of disappear into the woodwork. And if you do that, then you stand a better chance of never seeing one again or never having to deal with one again.
Well, that'd be the best outcome, never seeing it again or dealing with it again.
Yeah, it's, people have asked me, like, why, aren't you afraid of them? Have you ever had an attachment? And I look at them and I'm like, no. If you have fear, you have doubt, you cannot deal with these things. Mm-hmm. They'll eat you for breakfast. You can't have any of that. I don't fear them. I don't have any doubts about what I can do. And, I've never had an attachment, and the reason why I never will is because, of the archangel inside of me. When I died in a motorcycle accident, I've always been able all my life to see demons in their true form, to understand them. They speak in Aramaic, and, all my life I've been able to do that. Never understood why I was given that gift. Michael said to me when I was young, you'll find out later. It'll come in useful. And then when I died in a motorcycle accident, Michael was there, my grandparents were there, and he says, you need to understand who and what you are. And he made me relive all the past lives in like a split second back to my soul. And when that happened, I looked down at myself and I had a different body. I had, like 12-foot wingspan, 7 feet tall, just like Michael. And then he says, this is who you are. You're Ariel the Archangel. He says, she was set back to relive human lives, to learn to have compassion for mankind. She had forgotten how to care. She had forgotten how to have compassion. And so when I do a removal and people are there, it kind of freaks them out because my eyes turn white and my voice changes and my face looks about 30 years younger. And some people can even say they see wings coming out of my shoulders.
You experience a quickening?
Yep.
Where you get younger for a split second?
Yeah, well, that would be nice. I mean,
right?
Yeah, they say my face totally changes. And it's like, okay, I can't see it because I'm a little busy removing these things.
Sure.
But my consciousness, my physical consciousness, goes to the back. She comes forward, and that's where you get the physical manifestation. And I can see what she's doing. I can hear what she's saying. I know what's going on. I'm just like an observer.
You're a conduit, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the fact that you can see, hear, understand, and communicate with these demons, is it possible for them to be reasoned with, or for you to be able to, like, not forcibly remove them, but just kind of, I don't want to say talk them away, but
well, the old ones,
can they be reasoned with?
It depends. If you're talking about what I call the lesser demons, these are the younger demons, the ones you're more likely to find on the physical plane. No, because they're like hormonal teenagers. They don't listen to anybody, they don't care about anybody, and they're going to darn well do whatever they want. Mm-hmm. Now, the old demons, it's a whole other situation. Because the old demons, there's respect there between Ariel and and them, it's funny, because people think, oh, they're just bad. No, they have a hierarchy. They have Lucifer, then they have his second in command, and so on, and they have the old ones, and then you have the lesser demons, which are the younger ones, and then you have the minions, all different kinds of minions, shadow people, creepy crawly dudes, succubus, things like that. But they have their own code of ethics, and they have respect. The old ones have respect for each other and for the archangels. Doesn't mean they like them, but they have respect for
There's
them.
a mutual understanding there, is what you're saying.
There is.
Does Satan ever come around? I mean, does the big guy ever show up? Have you ever met him in your battles?
Yeah. I did a show called Ground Zero with Clyde Lewis. He did a 4-hour special on me called Demon Seer. And from that show, I had over 200 requests for help in a couple of weeks. It was incredible. It's just, one of them happened to be a local woman. And I said, send me a picture. She says, I'm possessed. She says, I know I am. She says, it's been going on for years. And I thought, okay, here's a psycho. But no, I said, send me a picture. So she sent me the picture, and I'm like, oh, crap. Yes, that's what's in there. So I have a friend that's a minister, and he's the leader of the paranormal group I started with. Mm-hmm. And God said to me, he needs to go with you on this removal, basically an exorcism. Yeah. And he says he has fear of the dark ones, and you cannot have fear of the dark ones and serve the purpose that you need to serve. So he came with me, and my para-partner, she came with me. And I knocked on the door. The woman opened the door, and her eyes were solid black. And she growled, and I'm like, okay, and then slammed the door. I knocked again, and
Wait a minute.
It was her. It was her.
Joan, you rap on the door, and a lady opens it up, solid black window or eyes, and you're like, that's odd. She closed it, and you go, let's try this again. Like, you're that unflappable? Oh, my God. Me, I'd probably be, I don't know, having to change my underwear.
The other two were kind of looking at me like, holy crap, what have we gotten ourselves into? And so we went inside, and she ended up having like 11 entities within her. So Ariel was actually out for 3 hours. And we finally got to the last entity. And, you have to dig into them, into their consciousness, to find out why they're there, what happened, how come, what are they doing, why won't it leave? Mm-hmm. So I had found out by digging deep enough that this one had been assigned a task by Lucifer and blew him off. He just didn't even bother to do it, just went on his merry way. And then when they came looking for him, he hid out in this woman, and he's been there ever since. And I said, okay. I said, I know why you're hiding. I said, because Lucifer's looking for you. I said, if you want to go home, I said, if you want to go to heaven, I said, I can arrange that. I will ask Jesus to come. And next thing, my friends are seeing this, they're splitting, each going to a different side, because this beautiful white hand and arm came out towards the demon, the woman. And the demon almost took him up on it. And then he said, no, you're lying. You're not, you just want to kill me, and he's hunkered down. Mm-hmm. And so Jesus retreated. And I said, so be it. Ariel says, Lucifer, come forth. And my two friends are like freaking out, because suddenly this dark figure appeared at the end of the hallway and walked towards me and them. And he was wearing like double-breasted suit. Looks like something from like the 40s.
Yeah.
And he comes up.
He had a hat.
Yep.
A fedora?
Yep. He did.
Okay.
And he came up, and he looked at the demon and said, come with me. The demon said, no. I'm not going with you, and you can't make me.
All right.
And Lucifer looked at me and said, I know you don't want me to rip it out of her because it will kill the woman. He said, I know that's not what you want. so I will be back for him. And I said, okay. And then he walked back down the hall and disappeared.
So you're tag teaming with the devil for a minute.
Yeah, it's no big deal. I've dealt with him before. It's not like
he's like an old friend. He comes over for coffee.
Yeah,
once in a while.
they fought each other during the war, so it's like it's not a big deal for them. They have that respect. Anyway, so we all went home, and at 3 a.m. we all woke suddenly, and I heard Lucifer's voice say, "It's done." So I called the woman the next day, and she's feeling 100% better and everything. I told her, I said, please get counseling. You need counseling. You have PTSD of a different kind. So last thing I knew, she was keeping in touch, and then she kind of faded, but she was going through counseling, doing well. But it's like, it's something, my friends, my friends at the ministry says, I've always known God existed. I've always known the devil existed. He said, but to be in their presence and to see them with my own eyes, he says, I still can't take it all in. And this was 2017. Mm-hmm. He's like, I still to this day can't take it in. I'm like, I never said it would be dull. I said, I'm full of surprises. He likes to go on the removals with me.
Yeah, well, I know where Mike was going with the fedora. Is there any chance that the infamous Hat Man is the devil?
No. Lucifer doesn't consent to come down here. The only reason he came was because Ariel asked him to. There's that mutual respect.
Then who is the Hat Man that we hear so much about in the Shadow People realm? Who is this guy?
He is a shadow person, but he's a different kind. Most shadow people, they're not like demons. They do not travel in packs. They like their own territory. So it's very rare for you to see more than one shadow person around. But these ones are kind of like it's almost like a big brother. And the shadow person's here, the big brother, with a little more power. Mm-hmm. So that shadow person has a little more power, and I won't tell you his name, but I won't tell you what they call them either, because that's not good either. But that's the way it is. It's they're kind of like the Watchers, except Watchers they're neither fully bad or neither fully good. Okay. They're kind of a blend of the two.
All right, because I know Mike and I, we've done a lot of shows, each of us independently, on the Hat Man with people's stories. And it would seem that whoever this is looking just for destruction and to take souls, and very demonic activity.
Oh yeah, they're a demon. They're a form of a demon, but they're not as powerful as the lesser demons or the old demons. But they have their own territory. They like their own territory. Yeah. And there's a lot of them around, but they're very selective. Very selective.
Kind of like the independent contractor of the demon.
Yeah,
world.
There you go.
All right.
I was at the coast.
Demon mercenaries.
Yeah. My husband's one of those people that if you can't touch it, feel it, or see it, it doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Until he married me. But we went to the coast one day to visit my cousin for Thanksgiving. I'm upstairs in the bedroom, and my husband's downstairs. And I felt something come in, something negative, and then I heard my husband bellow, so I run downstairs, and he's pointing at the shadow person. He's like, what is that? And then it just dashed out between out the French doors. I looked at him, I said, that my husband is a shadow person. Welcome to my world. He says, I never want to see it again. Never, never, never. I said, okay.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, you don't like it. They don't give you a warm, fuzzy feeling.
No. I've heard plenty of stories where people see a shadow person and just, or what have you, and bad things are that follow, just bad incidences.
Yeah. Because I was there, it got the hell out of Dodge.
Gotcha.
It didn't want to deal with me, so there you go.
Well, it sounds like I wouldn't want to deal with you either in that regard. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
I don't know. I think that I probably wouldn't either. But so my question is, it goes back to when you were talking about, when Lucifer came in, he was like, and I would normally just, I would kill this woman. I know that's not what you want, so I'll come back later when I'm not going to do it. Like, they have that respect.
Yeah.
Do you, and, the whole war apparently was because they wanted, like, human traits. Like, they wanted to be alive again, so to speak. Do you think that...
The one side, the good ones did. The dark ones did not want to be alive.
Okay, so it was Lucifer's side that did not want to be alive.
Right. They didn't want to be subject to pain and suffering and growing old.
So, do you think then that because they have that Lucifer and, like, the older demons that used to be angels had that respect? Well, do you think that maybe because of how we view Lucifer as Satan and the devil and blah blah blah, that maybe they have more of a bad rap, or that we make them out to be far more evil than they really are, or is it well deserved?
No, it's well deserved. Most of them, especially the lesser demons, are out to cause as much pain and suffering as possible, humanly possible, or not humanly, inhumanly possible. But the old ones, they rarely come into our realm. I have, in all the years I've been doing it, I've run into maybe 10 of them. And, 2 of them to deliver messages. But the rest have just been like wild cards, just like, I've had enough of it. I'm going to wreak havoc as much as I can. Mm-hmm. So it's mostly they have a lot of respect for each other. But like I said, there are wild cards, there are rebels and everything, and even in the old ones. And so you have to, take it with a grain of salt.
Well, obviously, when you remove them, I shouldn't say obviously because I don't know, but when you do remove them, they're not destroyed. Am I correct? They just kind of go away?
Yeah.
And if so, where do they go?
If I do a removal, Ariel creates what we call an infinity orb. It's an orb of pure white light energy. It entraps the demon. So if I send them back, then I trap them in the orb, and she just lets go of it, and it goes down towards the darkness. And once it hits the darkness, it bursts, and they're released into the darkness. Now, if we get some, I had a issue a couple years ago where Lucifer came to me, and he came to Ariel and he said, listen, there's this thing going on at these guy, I have my first in command. I know he wants my job, basically. So we need to get rid of him. And let me tell you what he's doing. So he told her that he was creating a portal in the physical world where him and several other old demons could enter into the physical world. And they were building up the energy for it and creating it by gathering together haunted objects that were possessed. And I'm like, oh, God, tell me you don't want me to go to Vegas. And he's like, yeah, I want you to go to Vegas. I'm like, okay. I said, listen. I said, I'll do this, but not because of you, but because Michael and the others want to have a good time by killing demons. So I said, but you will owe me 2 favors. And Lucifer said, done. So I did what I was supposed to do, and they were all destroyed. None of them got sent back. They were all destroyed.
So you literally made a deal with the devil.
Yeah, not really a deal. He owes me.
Well, I was going to say, technically, the devil made a deal with her.
Well, technically, with Ariel. Yeah, because he knew that she could do it. In the war between heaven and hell, Michael disarmed Lucifer, and Ariel disarmed his son.
So now, when you had to go to Las Vegas to fight the demons, how did you just call up the museum and say, hey, I'm coming in there to fight some demons? How did that come about, getting over there and getting that all set up?
I didn't tell anybody. I went there. I went with a couple of friends, and I told them, you stay outside. Said, we're not going to go in yet. I'm going to do the removal first, and then we'll go inside and make sure everything is gone. And so it took me like about 5 or 6 minutes to get rid of the portal they were building, and because there were several old demons, the Legion of Light went with me. The Legion of Light is Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Ariel. So they all went together, and there was a battle. If this had been, if what they spilled was blood, the place would have looked like a massacre. But because when you kill them, when she slices through them with a white light sword, they kind of turn to dust, and their particles are spread among the stars. And so they no longer live. They cannot be reborn, obviously. Their consciousness is destroyed.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was a nasty fight, but
it sounds like this museum was quite busy.
Yes, who shall remain nameless owns it.
Do the living people, when this is going on, that are aside from you, that maybe have nothing to do with this battle? Let's just say this battle was waged and there was patrons in there.
There were.
Would they have noticed a difference? Had they felt a difference?
They would have felt a lot of negative energy all at one time, and then they would feel the lighter energy of the angelic beings. So it would be kind of a lot of turmoil, but because people had been talking about how they'd been attacked in it, and the workers there have been attacked, and they wouldn't stay in it at night and all this other stuff. And so after that, we ended up walking through it, making sure everything was clear, and went on my merry way.
Well, we got a ton of questions to get to. The text line is just lighting up. First text, the question was, does smudging truly remove negative energies? Or is it just in our minds?
It can remove negative energy, not entities. You can even get rid of, most of the time you can even get rid of a earthbound negative. But if you're talking about negative entities, no.
Mm.
You don't want to smudge if you think you have a negative entity there, because what it will do, it will ramp up the activity in wherever it is you're trying to get them out of.
Okay. So it would just basically piss it
them
off. Yeah.
Yeah, it would really make them mad, and the activity would even get worse than it was.
Next, really quickly, next question, elementals. How do you remove an elemental? Is that even possible?
Yeah, it is possible.
How would you go about doing something like that? I think that's what
most of the time, they'll leave on their own. You just talk to them and say, like if you're there and you're disrespecting the land, and you have an elemental that deals with the forests and stuff, then you can talk to them reasonably.
For anyone that's listening that doesn't know what an elemental is, isn't that or an earth spirit? Am I correct?
It's a nature spirit.
Yeah.
I ran into a couple of them. There was one where I removed a demon that was entombed in the ground in Battleground, Washington. And it was a hodgepodge of different things. There was an old demon there that had been entombed in the ground by Lucifer, and it was wreaking havoc. It was caused the wife. They had moved in 2 years prior, and the wife had never had a sick day in her life, and she died of cancer, terminal cancer, in a matter of months.
Oh, wow. Sorry
and the demons, that's what they do. They will make your health go down. They'll cause all kinds of things. But there was the old demon. Once I removed the old demon, they had a portal in the backyard. There were the Native Americans that came in and were trying to protect the homeowners, but were not strong enough. And there was a little, I would call it a gnome-like guy, elemental, hanging around under the porch. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I said, you can't stay here. You need to go. You need to not be here. I said, because, this is not your place. You go back into the forest. He's like, basically he said, are you sure I can't stay? I'd like to stay. I'm like, no.
You got to go now. See you later.
You got to go. Yeah. You have the forest. They're not mistreating the land. Go.
One more quick.
Yeah.
One more question. Okay. Jonathan would like to know. Okay, this is what he says. Last week, Joel and Mike had a guest on that believed that there could be a correlation between the demonic and mental illness. How do you feel about that?
It depends. That's one of the things that attracts them. Is someone that has mental illness, somebody has substance abuse. It attracts them because the person is easier to manipulate, easier to, fool. So they like that, and they just terrorize these people, just terrorize them.
Can demons cause mental illness?
Sure, they can.
Okay. Oh, with schizophrenia, for instance. I'm just using that.
If they can reach into your body, grab your heart, and squeeze it until it stops, what's a little mental illness? Nothing. When my friend and I were at the battleground place, the minister I was telling you about, he came with me on that. And the demon reached into his chest and started squeezing his heart. And he couldn't breathe. He felt his heart start to slow, and then I offed the demon. So, yeah.
One more quick question: do demons ever possess aliens?
I've never encountered it, and I don't think they want to because I don't know. That I've asked Lucifer. I said, "Well, are you into those demons? Are you into those space dudes? Because I was curious, and he's like." No.
Well, I'm a little space curious once in a while, but
he wouldn't elaborate, so I didn't say anything.
That was an interesting question. I suppose it stands to reason.
I know he looked at me like, are you crazy? I'm like, no, I'm not crazy. I was interested. Okay.
It sounds like you have a lot of conversations over the years, Lucifer. That would be interesting.
It is in some ways. Ariel has conversations with him when he wants her to do something, or if she knows that there's a negative that's gone rogue, basically, she will contact him and tell him, this dude has gone rogue. And if you don't do something about it, she says, I'll kill him myself. So they have a tendency to do something about it.
Interesting. Yeah, I got you. There's a hierarchy going on here, is what you're saying. And,
yep, definitely.
And that would be a very interesting conversations to sit in on and just be the fly on the wall, I guess.
Yeah, it's all one-sided. If you could, well, you don't want to do that. I was going to say, the two people that have held my hand and saw what I saw, they were never the same.
They're all insane now, and they.
No, they just had nightmares for a long time afterwards, because what I see is demons in their true form, and it's something that people have no clue about. No clue whatsoever.
Grotesque, right? They're grotesque individuals. Right?
They look like archangels. They have the same size and wingspan, but they're black, and their face there's no distinguishing features except the eyes. And in the eyes is every form of evil that you had dreamt of, and then some.
Wow. I'm good. I'm good then.
That's why Zach ran out the hotel.
Yeah. Well, some people like to run a little more than others, but that'd be a tough thing.
Yeah, I told him, you don't want to see what I see. He took off and he called Billy, because Billy was my cameraman. And he told him, dude, she told me off camera, you're going to see what she sees. You're going to hear what she hears. Because he had said he was seeing things and he was hearing voices and stuff. I'm like, yeah, hello. But you didn't listen.
Has anyone ever been ready for it, though? Where you've been with them and they see it and they're just cool with it?
No. The only other person was a medium friend of mine. And he thought he wanted to do what I do. And I'm like, no, you don't. And he's like, I want to see them. I said, okay, hold my hand. And there were two big ones. He says, oh, my God, what are they saying? He says, I can't understand that language. And he says, but I understand the intention. It's not good. And I'm like, no, it's never good with these guys.
Oh.
And one started running towards him, and I held out my hand and shot it away. But it freaked him out. He let go of my hand. I'm like, okay, you don't need to see that again. Thanks.
Yeah. How about you, Mike? How would you like to see that? I know I wouldn't. I'm good.
I would, actually. For whatever reason, I'm a guy that has to know. Like, sure. I just want that knowledge. And whether I would be ready for it or not, I do not know. Like, I'm not going to be like, nope, I'm going to be perfectly fine after this. It's cool. Like, I don't know that for sure. But it's one of those where I would rather know and take the potential, like, disaster that comes with it than to bury my head in the sand and be like, it's just better if I don't know.
Is that ignorance talking, June, or is he onto something? Everyone should see it. I mean, should we look for that? Because a lot of us are ignorant to it because we don't see it, and not because we're willfully, just because we don't know.
Yeah. If you and I were to if Michael and I were to stand in a room together with demons, and they would show themselves to him as either a black mist or, what his preconceived idea of a demon is, it would show itself that way. And I would see it in its true form. Because what they do is they reach into your mind and they pull out an image that you have of what they should look like, and they amplify that times 10. And so it scares the living tar right out of you. And
what
so
if I don't particularly have, like, any preconceived notion?
Oh, you do in your subconscious. Everyone does. And that's the part, people say, oh, I don't believe in them. But it's buried deep in your subconscious.
Well, what happens? What happens to the people, though? Let's just say there isn't someone like you around to help them out, and the demons win. What do they do with the people's souls? Where do those go?
Well, the thing is, when the person dies, like at that battleground house, the wife had died at the home. The demon trapped her soul there. She couldn't cross over. She couldn't go to the light because it was holding her there. What they will do, they will suck the energy out of the other soul to feed themselves if they don't have, enough negative energy around them.
What happens to that soul then? Where does that go after it's been sucked dry, or is it just no longer exist?
No, it's usually before it ends up happening completely, one of the angels will come for it.
I say, why doesn't God intervene quicker?
It's like every soul has free will. It's all about the free will. Maybe they wanted to experience that. I have no idea, but he does intervene when they ask.
Has God ever come in? Just God, like God. God just showed up when Lucifer was hanging around. When you're doing one of these, like God.
Just the one with the Jesus and Lucifer at the same time.
So the big guy's never showing up and taking matters in his own hands. He has his agents do it for him.
Yeah, he has too much. He's too busy. That's what Ariel is, really. Ariel and the Legion of Light, they are the demon slayers. Their whole job is it would be like equivalent to Navy SEAL snipers. They're the best of the best. And that's these guys. And they have trained other archangels, and they have trained other warrior angels, so that there's a whole massive amount of them.
So, question that just popped in, when Jesus does show up, the time that you mentioned Jesus shows up.
Uh-huh.
Do they cower in his presence, or how does that go down?
Yeah, the scrawny little demon was afraid, and that's why he didn't take him up on it, because he knows that Jesus could just flick of a hand and he'd be dead. So, and he was afraid of it. He was afraid of going. Yeah, they didn't want to have anything to do with him. They get the heck out of Dodge.
Wow. That is truly a dark side of the paranormal we've been talking about all night. And I don't think it gets any darker than demons. And it sounds like you've had a lifetime of battles with these
I
things.
didn't start removing them until I was like, oh God, I was probably 28 when I started removing them. But it wasn't, you're called to do this. This is not something a normal, sane person would get into. If I didn't have that archangel soul inside of me, they could do some damage, because most demonologists don't live long, and they suffer a lot of health issues. That's why I don't call myself a demonologist, because there's too many negative connotations. My grandmother, who's been dead since 79, said, listen, you're going to do this, you need to, because I told her, I said, I ain't being called no demonologist. You're out of your mind. She said, well, call yourself what we do in Ireland, a seer, a demon seer. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that.
Well, come to think of it, a lot of the demonologists that I have known over the years are no longer with us. Ken Deal, he passed away prematurely, about a year ago now. And then Andrew Calder, he passed away prematurely. And which is always sad when that happens, but there's something to that.
Oh yeah, there is. If they have an angelic soul, then they can live as long as as a normal person, or even longer. I asked God one time, I'm like, I'm doing this for you. I said, I'd like to know how I'm going to die. I'd like to see my death. And he said, so be it. So he showed me the image of my death, and I'm like 93 years old, and I lay down and then go to sleep, and I never wake up. I'm like, I'm good with that.
That was anticlimactic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the way everyone wants to go out.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to go. I'm like, okay, I don't want to go fighting a demon, because they're not worth my time and energy. When I get that age, I won't care. I'll probably still be doing it, but whatever. Probably do it till the day I die.
Joel, do we have time for one more question?
Oh, yeah. We got 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. So, because demons have been around for centuries, I'm assuming, even the new ones.
Thousands of years, yeah.
So, do they look at your soul? And let's say, as an investigator, I go into a home, and I don't know that they're there, but obviously they know that we're coming in and what we're there to do.
They know
Can they look into your soul,
or you're coming?
I actually have heard that.
They
one
don't
of the things
see the physical body; they see the soul within.
Right. So they also see all of the previous past lives as well.
They can, but they don't bother with it. It's not relevant for them.
Okay, so past lives don't play any part in what you're doing now.
No, it depends. If I have one person that I know that made a pact with the devil in 3 different lifetimes and reneged in each case, well, he's on his way out right now. So they're waiting for him like piranha. So he's not going to skip out a 4th time.
Wow. Would not want to be that dude.
No, but he deserves it. He's not nice.
Well, June, only got a few seconds left, so why don't you tell the audience where they can visit you, website-wise, social media-wise, and where they can buy your books.
You can buy my books on Amazon.com. They're either in print or ebook. You can buy them on Smashwords. You can find my website is demonseer.com, and I'm on Facebook and Twitter as June Lundgren. And so that's it.
Yeah, check it out. Very interesting stuff. Buy our books. Dark Side of the Paranormal is great. All of them are great books. And June, thanks a ton for coming on with us.
Thanks for having me. I always enjoy being on your show.
Thank you. Until next time, guys.
Thank you, June.
Take care
You're
of each
welcome.
other. Love each other.
Good to meet you.
Stay in the light. Stay away from the darkness.
After Hours AM is a production of Midwest Radio Productions. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And please visit www.americas-most-haunted.com.